one of the legendary people in the Atlanta scene, but you originally come from the Midwest. So what's the migration been like to come down here? What's it been like being part of this Atlanta atmosphere?
Man, this is become my second home in the process. You know what I mean? That's how important the migration has been. But I came in the early 2000s, kind of piggybacking off of what was going on in the 90s, of that vibe of what was happening in Atlanta. So I kind of piggybacked, and came down in around 2002. Just kind of on, Atlanta's kind of just been things cracking.
So when you got here, how big was the scene when you got here as opposed to what you and the others laid down?
When I got here, the scene was cracking. You know what I mean? It was really cracking. It changed my life in the sense that I had so many opportunities to perform in front of so many different people that before I got here, it was like poetry once a week. And then when I got here, it was 7 days a week.
That's great.
So it was definitely from that level. It was definitely beneficial to what I do now.
So you've been like a foundation for so many of us, myself included, that have come after you. Who were some of the people that you might have looked up to, or some of the people that had the name before you?
You talking about far as in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Oh man. So when I got here, I was fortunate enough to kind of fall in with a great group of people who are my peers now. And at the time when I first got here, they were, like you said, these were the people that I looked up to, like my man Abyss and Malik Salam and John Good. These are people, when I got here, they were already cracking. So I was trying to follow, not necessarily in their footsteps, but what they've tread, the trail they blazed. I'm trying to, find my path in that too.
So kind of fill us in, like, behind the scenes, I guess, as far as what was the struggle like? What was it like to get, I guess, that respect or whatever, just to make your name up there?
Well, for me personally, like I said, because there was so many things going on, I was able to make my name relatively quick here because I did everything. I performed, whether it was 2 people or 200, I was there, and that was the beauty of what was going on in the city at that time. There was just so many different platforms and just different cultural and creative platforms for people to get this stuff out there. So I was blessed in that, but the struggle of it is it's poetry. You know what I mean? So it's only so profitable, but it can be. You know what I mean? But it take a lot of work, and so I don't want to go into all the growing pains of it, but it was definitely a struggle. But the most part about it was through all the struggle there was opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't just 100% struggle. It was also a lot of opportunities, weaved in through all of that.
And one of the important places has definitely been the Apache.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Important enough that Spring and Third movie got made out of it.
Absolutely.
So just, I guess, you made a whole movie about it, but just a little bit of what your feelings about Apache is.
Well, like I said, this is why I kind of picked the area. The first time I walked in here, originally it was called the Yin Yang. When I got here, it was the Apache. But from the first few minutes I walked in, I knew it was something special. Yeah. And it only became more special over time. You know what I mean? And as you can see, and you maybe even hear, there's a lot of construction and a lot of new growth going around the city. So at the time, I had kind of seen the writing on the wall, and I knew this place was special to me, and it was special to a whole bunch of other people in the exact same way that it was special to me. And I thought it was important that we document that, because it was not just, like I said, this building is a continuation of something that was birthed in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? And even, like I said, even my inspiration to come down here from Indiana in the early 2000s was the energy and everything that was special going on in the city of Atlanta in the mid and early 90s.
What is it about this place, do you think, that's made it known outside of Atlanta, though?
Well, that's a good question. So, from the you know, the artsy part of me is the place is magical. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and that magic is spread.
Yeah.
But realistically, because this building did mean so much, people like myself and Abyss and my homeboy Red Storm and a lot of other poets and artists and other artists and singers and all type of things have traveled the country, and this is the spot people talk about. You know what I mean? So the word of mouth advertising for this particular building is probably unmatched, because so many, especially so many people who have gone out to expand beyond 285 and take the spirit of this building with them. And when those people come to Atlanta, they want to experience this place. You know what I mean?
So this, I don't know if it'd be right to say this is like the centerpiece of this culture, I guess. It might be able to say
definitely, I would definitely say it was a hub, particularly when it was here, because although there was all kind of other places, you know, people doing this stuff too, this was the place where you knew you was going to see everybody.
Yeah.
It was going to be like the nucleus. This was going to be the hub. So yeah, I would definitely say this building was definitely served as like a nucleus of the creative culture here in Atlanta.
Speaking of the culture, there's so much that you've contributed to this culture. What does the phrase "for the culture" mean to you?
For the culture, that's a good question too. I think for me, you know, another word for the culture is for the tribe. You know what I mean? And for the people who walk this thing, and we might have different opinions and different views of the world, but we have this one common thread that holds us all together. And you know, and so when I say, when people say to me, it's for the tribe, for the people who, yeah, we might not think politically, but we have shared experiences, we have shared history, we have shared music, we have shared language, we have shared slang, we have all these different things that combine us together, regardless of how much we know each other, you know, and that culture means so much to who we are, and that's why I say this building was part of that culture, you know, and so that it's important to a lot of us, and how we walk, how we talk, how we dress, everything, and so I think it's good to put that on our shoulders and show the world that you know, this is our thing, you know what I mean, and it means something.
So I've seen you at many different events. You've gone all over the country. You've gone the TV route. You go on HBO, and then I've seen you at open mics with maybe 4 people would have come.
Yeah.
So how do you separate what is done out of love and what's done because you need the benefit from it? Free versus fee. How do you know how to separate that?
Cool. If you ask me at different times in my life, that question would be different.
Oh, yeah.
But in generally speaking, like I said, it's all money, in the sense that all you're trying to do is build your name, you know what I mean, and build your brand, and particularly when you're underground and independent, sometimes that means being in front of the twos and fews, you know, but those twos and fews appreciate it just as much as the larger crowds, you know what I mean, and they're also, those are the people who are going to talk more, you know what I mean, and be more impressed and tell their friends. So but you know, right now I'm selling the film, and so I'm gonna get in front of as many people, and I don't care who's there, but generally speaking, you know, but there is a fine line that you have to pay attention to, because if you do want to charge for your talents, you definitely can't just go around giving them free everywhere. So there is a balance for that, you know what I mean. That's why I say there's different times in my life, you know, ask me that question, you know, it might be a different answer, but you know, it's definitely a thing that, and it's a thing too for people who aren't getting paid, that free stuff is how you get to the point to get paid, you know, and so it serves a purpose, and sometimes they need to see somebody, you know, a little bit above them, so to speak, without sounding arrogant or nothing, but to be that inspiration, you see what I'm saying? To say, I'm gonna do, so you can see, you know, examples, you know what I mean?
So I just spoke to Bruce George recently.
Okay.
I'm like, how I guess I don't want to use the word struggle again. So, what was the process like of getting to Def Poetry? How did you make the cut? I guess. How did you put in the work to get to that spot?
Well, I had been in Atlanta at that time probably a year and some change. I made a name here relatively quick, in like in a few months, where I had made a name real quick. And so, long story short, at the time they were doing these competitions. I think it was my man Malik and John Good had a company called Good Stuff Entertainment, and they were doing these slam competitions for the opportunity to perform at the Fox, like to open up for the Def Poetry Jam Broadway.
Oh yeah.
So, long story short, I had won one of those competitions, and so I opened up for when the Broadway came here at the Fox. And by that time, like I said, I had made a lot of friends and connections. And by that time, a good friend of mine by the name of Black Ice, who was part of the Broadway cast, brought me backstage and introduced me to Stan Latham, who was the executive producer of Def Poetry Jam. And so it was crazy because so I'm backstage and he's like, look, Black brought me back there. He's like, yo, this is Tommy, this is Stan. He's like, go ahead and spit him something.
Yeah. So
I get maybe 2 or 3 lines in, and Stan just walks away. And I was that's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like this. And Black was like, nah, that means he liked me.
Oh, really?
He's just a busy man.
Yeah.
But I was at the time, I was like, yo, I'm feeling like damn near embarrassed, But he was just like, and that's how I got on. So eventually when that next season came around, that's how I got on the show.
That's great. All right, so knowing that you had the Abyss was there, Georgia Me was there, I believe Red Storm was there. So it's like, did you already know them ahead of time? And also, did that ease everything having your people with you?
Yeah, well, that first year I went, man, it was considered the Def Poetry the Atlanta season of Def Poetry, because it was like 11 of us.
Oh, okay.
And everybody killed.
Yeah.
Everybody killed, to the point like that was the talk of the whole thing of what Atlanta was doing. And so by that time, pretty much I knew everybody that was down there. I had been here, like I said, at that time I was about a year. I was here about a year, maybe a little more than a year. So by that time, I had got to know most of the community and who was doing what, that type of thing. So it was definitely something that felt good, because we, at that time, it's in New York.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like we could come down here and show out, and that's exactly what happened. Because there's a lot of talent in Atlanta. I mean, a lot of talent that come through this building. Stuff you've never heard of. Some of the most talented people you ever meet, you just haven't heard of them. You know what I mean? And that's what to me the beauty of this building, and why I wanted to do it here, because for myself, that's a big driving force for me to get. I come from competition, so there's that level of competition with it. When I hear something, I'm coming in like, oh, that's what's up. Now I'm coming back. Now I'm thinking about what I can do. Not necessarily type of it. So I'm like, okay, if he heat, I want to be heat. You know what I'm saying? So that's what this building and the city of Atlanta, because it attracts so many people from all over the country, and in many cases it's the best of the best from where they came from. You know what I'm saying? And so you get a good mix of talent and drive and all these different things that come here that kind of propels the city to where it's at now.
You could have made a movie about yourself. You could have made it about your peers. You could have made it about poetry in general. You could have been out all over Atlanta. What made you all decide Apache is important, or the Yin Yang Cafe is important enough? I want to do this whole 2-hour thing on it. What made this place the destination for the movie?
Like just basically what you said earlier, man, for the culture, man. Because it ain't about who I am and who any of us are who are part of the team. None of us were born here in this vacuum. We didn't just pop up here. We're all a reflection of this whole thing. And that was the spirit of when we went into it, was to use as much from the community as possible. You know what I'm saying? From the music that's in it, from who did the edit, just everything we did, we made sure we incorporated from the tribe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? From the people who we know out. It may not even be personal friends. People we just know out here. You know, sometimes it's 2 or 3 degrees of separation from things, but it was all about the culture, all about this thing that we do in Atlanta. We've been doing it here for Atlanta for a long time, and it's a family. So we try to draw from that family. It was about putting the family on, making sure the family get to shine, and not just any individual person. And that was the spirit that we went into the project with.
Okay. And for you as the individual now, if you look at the poetry world as a giant canvas, we've all come from so many different places to add our pieces to this picture. So on the poetry painting, what is the section that you have carved out? What's the stamp that you put on this?
Oh shit. I mean, I do what I do. I mean, that's a good one, man.
I do what I do.
I do a entertaining cultural critique, I guess. I don't know, but I guess that's the lane maybe. But definitely hip hop influence. I never did carve out that name, you know what I mean? But I think I carved out a Tommy Bottoms lane, whatever that might be.
Because I know when I first was getting here in 2013, and I remember seeing so many flyers and everything about this guy with an eye patch for the educated gangster and everything.
Yeah.
There was educated gangster was everywhere. I thought that was your stage name. That's all I really knew at the time. And there was so much talk about that. And I'm always seeing you on flyers in different states. So I'm thinking there's a whole nother world that you opened up for a lot of poets beyond just going to open mic here and there in the city.
I mean, you know, I appreciate that, but brother, there's so many people that came before me, you know, and I'll take whatever, but trust me, there's a whole bunch of people out there was really grinding that made it through. There was something for me to do. I'll be honest, I for that part of it, you know, you know, just a little bit, because it was a lot. There's a lot of people. Because in order for something like that to happen, it has to be more than just one person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it takes a collective of people you probably never heard of or never meet. You see what I'm saying? That'll never do it as a living. But you got people all over the country who have the same passion, the same interest in something, and to create spaces because poetry isn't just in Atlanta, Georgia, or New York City. It's in Columbus, Georgia. It's in Lexington, Kentucky, and all those different things where it gives people the opportunities to be, you know, like you said, to travel and all that. So I won't. But I was one little thing in a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I mean?
That's great. Well, I definitely appreciate your time.
I appreciate you.